Hi everybody, it's me Arden Lee. I am back with another video, and in today's video I'm so excited, you guys. I get to introduce you to my new kitty. This is Edgar. This is Edgar Allan Paw. He's purring. I am so in love with this cat. It's ridiculous. It's it's so purely in alignment. Been talking about alignment lately. Um, you know, um, I I have a point beyond just introducing my cat in this video, but this is exactly what I want to talk about. Is I want to talk about how we can communicate and set an intention with the universe, and then be so certain that something is right for us, that we're just a complete yes in our body, especially if that's what we ask of the universe. If we're like, I want to know, tell me when it's right, I will know it with a real absolute yes in my body. There will be no doubt in my mind. It's a really great way to ask for things. So I'm going to introduce you all to Edgar. As I've done. Hi. Oh my goodness. You guys, how can I concentrate on making this video? This is too cute. But yeah, that's what I want to talk about. Is I want to talk about receiving signs from the universe, asking for signs, asking for a full-bodied yes, saying, here's my intention, this is what I want, and I'll know I'm a yes to it because I'll really, really feel it. And how we do that, and how we also can listen to signs from the universe and receive synchronicities, receive messages that yes, we're on the right path and we're making the right decision. I think what's really interesting about my adopting Edgar is that I knew the moment that I saw him. Really, really, I didn't even need to see him. I just needed to know that he existed. And I already was a full-bodied yes in that moment. And as we're getting to know each other, we've known each other for, oh gosh, less than a week now, huh? Less than a week of actually living together anyway. And it's just getting better and better and better. And wow, what an amazing lesson to learn when you're like, also working on the energies of calling in your soulmate, both for yourself and also to be able to teach about that, and to talk about getting into alignment with your ideal relationship. What kind of amazing trust can there be when you can have that happen in practice mode? you know um, with a cat who shows up, who is in that moment, you are such a yes to them, and then on top of that, they end up being everything that you wanted to, and you didn't even need to do it with your mind. You didn't even need to do it to figure it out, to go down a checklist or anything. They were just everything that you wanted, and they showed up, and you guys, this is ridiculous. He just like plops down right next to you, just so chill, and just starts purring. He's amazing. So so yeah, that idea of setting an intention for what you want, and you know dialoguing with spirit, with the universe, with God, whatever you want to call this intelligence, right? That we work with, dialoguing and saying, this is what I want, and I want to know, I want to be certain, and give me the signs when it's the right thing to do, guide me. I One of the reasons that I like saying that when I teach magic, I say I love working with open-minded skeptics, because one of the things that is really frustrating to me is a person who just thinks everything is a sign, who will like contort their minds backwards and forwards to make everything into a sign of the thing that they want. When I talk to the universe, I'm very like, look, I'm kind of skeptical to begin with, so I'm keeping an open mind, but make it super obvious. Make this like, oh my God, there's no possible doubt, and it delivers every time. So, so I want to talk about that today. If you're not yet familiar with my work, by the way, I am the creator of the Repatterning Project. It's an 8-week course where we hack our beliefs and we backwards engineer our mindsets, our choices, to get the results that we want in our lives. So if that sounds like your jam, check out the description box. I have a link to a free PDF about the course. I also have a link to the Repatterning Parlor, which is the free Facebook group that I moderate. Come and join us. We would love to see you there. Come say hello. And we are enrolling for the summer session, which begins June 30th. So if you want to see more of me and Edgar, I'm sure Edgar is going to be my co-pilot. We would love to work with you. So reach out to me if you were looking to get those results for yourself. creating that sovereignty and creative freedom that allows you to really create whatever you want in your life. So, all right, so let's talk about. I'm sorry, I'm so distracted, you guys. So, so let's talk about this idea of setting the intention to call in the perfect thing of what you want, something that is so a fit, so in flow that your heart just melts over it, the way that I'm obviously melting over Edgar. And how do you call that in and recognize it when it shows up, and create that space to receive it ultimately? So I want to tell the story of what happened with me and Edgar. Like I said, basically, I set this intention, and I said, I said to the universe, I want to know when it's time for me to get my next cat. When Virgil passed in the first week of March, that was really hard. And the relationship that I had with Virgil was so deep and so meaningful. We had been through so much together. Our communication was so precise. There was so much spirit in us communicating. And it was like, after he passed, I knew it had to happen eventually. I knew it was going to happen, but I was just so, it was really devastating. It was a real shift in energy. It was really, really vertiginous, to be quite honest. Just not having him there. It was certainly a spiritual upgrade in many ways, because holding space for a loved one through death is never not going to be an upgrade. But and it was a vote of confidence, in moving forward. But it was really, really difficult. And so I was in grief. I was in a lot of mourning. And I said to the universe, I said, look, when it's time for me to get my next cat, I want it to be super obvious, okay? I don't want to make this decision from my mind. I don't want to make it out of scarcity or loneliness or just like needing a furry companion, so I go and make an impulse decision or whatever. Or I'm sitting there with a bunch of cats and like, oh, maybe this one, maybe that one. How do you go up to a cat and even know? How do you, it's like, it's like going to a shelter feels like, after that kind of a relationship where you've known someone for so long, and like going back to it feels like going on Tinder after you've had this really amazing relationship, and you're just like, oh my God, how do I even get to that level of intimacy again? So I was in that space, and I really just said, okay, I'm setting the intention now. I want it to be obvious. I'll know when it's time, and I'll know which cat. That's it. That's what I ask for. Just send me the right cat. And I had my specifications, and they were all kind of based in the same energy that Virgil had. I was like, I want a cat who's, first of all, male and mostly short hair. Like, I don't want a giant Maine Coon. I like a tiny cat because, I like to transport them to places. Virgil used to go to cafes with me sometimes. He would go to Vegas with my family. So being able to carry him in a bag and not like break my back is important to me. So tiny cat. And I was like, I want the nerdy cat. I want like the runt of the litter. I want the one that's not like the cool popular jock cat. I want the kind of socially awkward, maybe neurodivergent cat, the one who actually has an affinity for magic, because that's what we're going to be doing together. So give me your cat that plays D&D, not the captain of the football team. So so these are the sort of, the intentions that I went into it with. And I stated them to the universe, and I also stated them to a couple friends who I knew who work in cat rescue, and I stated them also to the managers of the cat cafes that I visited. So there was this one day, after about 2 months had passed, I was like, I'm just going to go to a cat cafe. I'm not going to be attached to anything happening, but I feel kind of tired and down and depressed. And, I could stand to get out of the house and do something that's going to feed my soul anyway and nourish me. So even if I just hang out with some cats for a while, just start to get my wheels turning, I'm just going to go and I'm just going to do that. And I went out that day, and I put 2 cat cafes kind of like on my radar. I was like, I'm going to hit up 2 and just, spend a little time at each of them. And the first one I went there, and I, okay, all right, I'm meeting, I'm inquiring. Well, I'm interested. Maybe I'll get more information on this one or that one. Kind of like you do with dating. Like, even if something doesn't strike you as, we want to give it a chance. Maybe that bolt of lightning will hit on date 3 or whatever. So I'm kind of like, well, let me take some information, whatever. Come back, maybe visit this one or that one. And then I went to the second place. I went to the second cat cafe. And same thing, well, maybe I'll put in an application with this one just in case, just because there's probably applications for him already. You never know, and we'll see. Even if I'm just thinking about it, might not be a bad idea. It's better to be able to say no. Okay, maybe this one, maybe that one, huh? And then this beautiful, sort of like Siamese looking cat comes out. And I was like, oh, who is this boy? And he's a little bigger than I had intended, and he's wearing a collar, and the name on it says Pooh. And they were like, oh, that's Pooh. He's got a brother. They were like, oh. Then the manager immediately goes, oh, why didn't I think? Why didn't I think to introduce you to Eeyore? Eeyore is exactly what you're looking for. And of course, it's, by the way, 10 minutes before the cat cafe is closing. So it's like, couldn't have happened differently if it were in a movie, right? I've been like going around being like, and then at the last second, right, that last final 11th hour, oh, why didn't I introduce you to Eeyore? And I heard the name Eeyore, you guys, and I was just like, that's it. That's my cat. And then she says, he was the runt of his litter. And I was like, that's it. That's my cat. So the reason that I knew, so Edgar's name was Eeyore when he was at the shelter. Hi, Edgar. Thank you for returning to the story. So his name was Eeyore, and one of the ways that I always described Virgil as having Eeyore energy. People would come over and meet Virgil, and they would ask, is he friendly? And I would say, well, yes, he's loving, he's not aggressive, he's not a fighter, but he's kind of emo, he's kind of sulky, he's a little depressive, so he's kind of like Eeyore, I was like, yes, he's friendly, but I wouldn't describe him as like cheerful, like he's kind of an emo cat, he's a little insecure, and he needs attention from people. He's gonna want to know like what you think of him. He's so I when I said Eeyore, when they said Eeyore at the cat cafe, I was like, oh my god, I was like, this is it. And oh my goodness, what are you doing? And sure enough, I saw him, and he had these same beautiful Siamese markings as, hey, no biting, I didn't say that was okay, as his brother Pooh. And he's beautiful. He's got these beautiful baby blue eyes. Yes, you are. I'm talking about you. I'm bragging about you to everybody out there. And interestingly enough, too, he has the exact same markings as the cat from the Arcana, which is the story gaming app that I talk about using sometimes. It's like a story gaming app based on the tarot. I wrote a post once about it. I was like, oh, this is so cool. Like for, it's like basically, I like it because it's a really healthy kind of, it has a healthy aspect to story gaming that you don't often see in like, otome or like, or manga kind of apps like that. It's like the relationships are really like healthy and grounded, and the way that they talk about magic and spirit might be a little simple and reductive to put into a fantasy, but like the metaphors are spot on. Like they know what they're talking about. It's like, I approve. If you're looking for a fun thing to do, the Arcana is a fun app. And the Arcana has a character in it that's a cat, and the cat looks exactly like, has these markings, like is a little pale Siamese. And that cat's name is Peppy, which is not what I would name my cat. But when I saw the markings, I was like, oh my god, he looks like the cat from the Arcana. And and then, if that weren't enough, I put my application in, and then a couple of days later, I put my application in, I was like, I'm just gonna forget it. I'm just not gonna think about it. I'm just like, thank you, universe, for already delivering my cat. I'm grateful that this cat is already mine. I'm just like so intending so hard. I'm intending hard by like detaching really hard. I'm just gonna forget about it. I'm just gonna trust. And the day that I received the call that my application was accepted, I was at Disneyland. And I was walking by an artist who had like an easel set up and was doing that kind of caricature work. And one of the caricatures, for some reason, was not a person, but it was a cat. It was a Siamese cat with these same baby blue eyes, the same markings, and the name at the bottom, I don't know why, if this was the cat's name or the person who commissioned the drawing, I don't know. It was just a sample that was sitting there, but the name on it was Karen, which is my legal name, for those of you who don't know. It's not like a super big secret, even though I don't go by it. But my legal name is Karen, and the name that was written on the drawing was Karen. So naturally, Karen was the name that I had on the application. So the day that it was accepted, it was like, oh, there's my cat, and there's my name next to it. So the synchronicities I get, admittedly, like even my friends who are in magic are like, dear God, Arden, the synchronicities that you get about things sometimes are just, they're just wild. They're just off the charts. They're just, even people that that have been like confirmed skeptics before, when I start to tell them my stories and the things that I see, they're like, whoa. They're like, you've single-handedly pushed my Overton window for believing in magic. So one of the reasons I'm like this, by the way, is again, as I said, I like being an open-minded skeptic because I really insist that the universe make things very clear. I'm like, don't leave me over here just saying, oh, I saw 11:11 on the clock and that must mean whatever. Like, no, give me something that really I can point to and say, okay, this is unequivocal. I can't argue with this. I will pay attention. I will look for it. I will not argue with you when you give it to me, but make it really super obvious. So I knew, you guys. So it was partly the signs. I mean, it was absolutely the signs that did it. And even though we only spent those last 10 minutes in the cafe, kind of hanging out before they closed up, I was just such a yes in my body. And since we've been living together about a week, he's just amazing and wonderful. He's definitely got more energy than I anticipated, although I think that's because he's still just under a year old. So I'm kind of hoping he mellows out a little bit. He's got a bit of the kitten playfulness, but he is so kind. He is so cuddly. He is so autonomous too, you guys. It's remarkable how we really attract our mirrors, and he's now mirroring the personal boundaries that I've been able to establish for myself. Like if he doesn't want to be somewhere, he will be really squirmy and he will let you know. He will not just like sit and dissociate. But he's so cuddly and so affectionate, and it means so much more then, because so often, as you've seen even during the course of this video, he's done it when he just runs up and starts cuddling with you. I just said that, you're just doing it. He just did it. I said it. Do you guys see that? That was ridiculous. He just runs up and decides to cuddle and plop down next to you. That was literally, as I was saying the sentence, he did the thing. That's just, this connection is like, we're already soulmates. It's just ridiculous. So as you can see, this is absolutely the right cat for me, and I knew the moment that someone said his name. And that's why, because I asked the universe to be that specific, and I set my intention. I said, make it super obvious. I said, when it's time for me to have my cat, I will know, and I will know which cat it is. And sure enough, there was a day where I was like, I didn't know if it was going to be that day or not, but I just knew. I was like, I'm just going to go to a cafe. I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to enjoy it. And then sure enough, there he was, and I just knew. And everything is just working out really wonderfully. He's just an awesome dude. I can't wait to get to teach him magic. Right? He's biting his own tail right now. You're a wackadoo, Edgar. So anyway, so excited to introduce him to you all, because I'm sure, if he really is the right cat for me, he's going to be certainly a part of my work, a part of my journey, part of my coming into my own energetic embodiment, part of my journey in learning to communicate beyond the verbal, part of my really coming into my bodily awareness, and certainly in my relationship with spirit. So you'll be seeing a lot of him, I'm sure. I'm so happy. I'm just so happy. I'm happy I got to introduce him, and thank you guys for watching, and hopefully the lesson around setting specific intentions and asking for direct signs and very obvious guidance, hopefully that was useful too. And come join us in the parlor. Come join us in the next course of the Repatterning Project starting June 30th. Reach out to me if you're interested. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you next time.